At a sun-drenched St James's Park on May 9th, 1993, a brilliant Newcastle United side destroyed Leicester 7-1 in the final game of the campaign. They made it. They stormed back to the top flight. Kevin Keegan, Newcastle United's manager, seemed focused and he had ambition to win it all. It was during this time he famously said, "Watch out, Alex, we will be after your title." This was a starting of a great rivalry between the two Uniteds. I get you, it is not that popular as some other rivalries, but it still is something incredible. I mean, just look at it brewing for decades and it being packed with intense matches, dramatic moments, and a lot of regional pride. Let's now take a look at the history of this rivalry and how it has evolved over the years. The roots of the rivalry can be traced back to the early 20th century, but it was not initially as fierce as it became later. Newcastle United came into being in 1892, 14 years after Manchester United. In their initial years, both these clubs had their share of successes. Newcastle won the league title in 1905, followed by 1907 and 1909. It had become a formidable force in English football. Manchester United, on the other hand, won their first league title in 1908 and followed it with an FA Cup victory in 1909. During that time, matches between the two clubs were competitive, but the rivalry lacked the intensity that would come later. Post-war English football experienced a significant change, and these two clubs were not immune to it. Matt Busby became Manchester United's manager, and he took the club to new heights. Busby Babes, a group of talented players, helped the club win league titles in 1956 and 1957. It was during this period that the Manchester club became one of the most successful clubs in English football. Newcastle United, meanwhile, enjoyed success in the FA Cup. I mean, they won the trophy 3 times in the 1950s. They were good, but were they as good as Manchester United? The simple answer is no. In the 1960s and 1970s, the rivalry began to take shape. This rivalry was characterised by both teams having passionate fan bases, and the games that they played were also competitive, often ending with unexpected and dramatic results. It was beautiful. And in the 1990s, it was the Keegan versus Ferguson era. This was the pinnacle. Rivalry between these two feisty clubs had reached a new height. It was a clash of two brilliant and confident managers. Kevin Keegan took over as Newcastle United's manager in 1992, and he is credited with transforming the club into title contenders. The brand of football that the club played was a treat to the eyes. With exciting signings like Alan Shearer, David Ginola and Peter Beardsley, Newcastle played an attacking style of football. Did you know they were termed the entertainers for the game that they played? No doubt, Newcastle was on the rise, and it was filled with energy. Keegan famously described his journey as riding the black and white tiger. Simultaneously, Manchester United won the inaugural Premier League in 1992-93 season, ending a 26-year title drought. The next season, Manchester United won the title again, and Newcastle finished third. Keegan called this their honeymoon season, and recalled how the fans were thrilled by the team's performance after years of mediocrity. Anyways, by the 1995-96 season, Newcastle were gaining control and they were destined to win their first league title since 1927. They had outperformed Sir Alex Ferguson's Red Devils, and at one stage they enjoyed a 12 points lead over them. It was not a small feat. But Ferguson had many tricks up his sleeve. He had prepared his team for a remarkable comeback. It was psychological warfare between both managers. The war of words between them added spice. I mean, it was brilliant from Ferguson. I mean, he was a master when it came to mind games. In one of his media encounters, he suggested that teams tried harder against Manchester United than Newcastle, and it explained why his club was leading behind. He successfully got under Keegan's skin, and this moment in history led to Keegan's famous outburst. He was like, he would love nothing more than beating Manchester United. It was emotional, but football is a game that needs more than that. It needs a strategy. Ferguson had it, and they beat Newcastle United to the title race. But that was not the end. The following summer, Newcastle signed Alan Shearer for a world record fee of £15 million, making another bold statement. This season, they once again came close. They finished second to Manchester United. But one thing was there for all to witness. The rivalry during this period was marked by high-stake matches, including a memorable 4-3 victory for Manchester United at St James's Park in 1996. It was heartbreaking for Newcastle United. That said, Newcastle kept challenging Manchester United, but with diminishing returns. By the late 1990s, their ambition had waned, and they were also struggling financially. In the 1999 FA Cup final, Newcastle was thrashed by Ferguson's Manchester United. It was a game that highlighted how there was a growing gap between these teams. For a while, it seemed that Newcastle had announced themselves. In all seriousness, they were challenging the status quo in English football. Unfortunately, they couldn't maintain their consistency, and in the early 2000s it was apparent that power had shifted. And what about the rivalry? It had become one-sided. On the one hand, Newcastle was struggling to gain their form, and on the other, Manchester United continued to dominate English football. In 2003 and 2004, Newcastle enjoyed a resurgence of sorts, all credits to Sir Bobby Robson. But this return to form was short-lived. Much to the dismay of Newcastle fans, their team was not up to the mark to challenge Manchester United for the title. Well, how does this rivalry look now? It seems that the tables are about to turn. In recent years, the rivalry has seen a resurgence. The acquisition of Newcastle United by a Saudi-led consortium in 2021 has brought new hope and, don't forget, a significant investment. It has sparked fresh rivalry among these two clubs, with Newcastle United aiming to reclaim status as one of England's top clubs. This rivalry has seen rejuvenation in recent times. Dramatic encounters like Newcastle's 1-0 victory over Manchester United at St James's Park in October 2019, where Matty Longstaff scored the winning goal on his Premier League debut, bring hope. Newcastle is getting more and more threatening. Here is a fact: Newcastle have finished above Manchester United this season, unparalleled in the Premier League, 7th to their 8th. In the grand scheme of things, this may not read like a towering achievement, but symbolically, it means something. The United rivalry is brewing. Yes, Red Devils have other rivals: Leeds United, Arsenal, City, Liverpool. And the fans claim Newcastle isn't a match for them because they haven't won anything in recent times. It makes sense, but they are getting there. Their recent performances speak volumes about their rise in English football. The future of both teams is bright. It is going to be exciting. Here is a question for you. What do you think? Can Newcastle United reclaim their glory and truly challenge Manchester United in the coming years? Let me know in the comments. That was the video, guys. If you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing football-related content.